Hello and welcome back to another episode of We Are the Podcast. Tonight's episode is just a duo. We expect Cheech maybe might drop in a wee bit later on, but it's going to be a review of the Hibs game for tomorrow night, 29th of October at Easter Road. Um, Other than that, I think we maybe might touch on some small minor stories that have happened in Scottish football in the last 24 hours. How are you this evening, Stevie? You all good, mate?
Hi, no bad, mate. No bad. Good to be here as always.
As always, and again, thanks again for all the support on all our recent videos. We're overwhelmed with the amount of views and likes and shares and stuff like that we're getting. We do appreciate every single one of you helping us out with this. Um, as we touched on there, Stevie, we've got Hibs at Easter Road tomorrow night. They're currently sitting third in the league. They're quite a high scoring side, third highest goals for in the league at the moment with 16. So I don't expect. Obviously, we've played them in the cup this season so far, and we've beat them. But I don't expect an easy game. What are you thinking yourself?
So I always hate going to Easter Road because it always seems like we struggle there. But I'd heard something they've not beat us in the league there in the top flight since like was it 2005, 2006, something like that. I think since Le Guin was a manager.
Hmm.
So I mean the kind of our record there is pretty good. We did take a couple of pastings in the lower leagues off them there, but I'm not really counting that away to be honest. But they are. I haven't looked into it in much detail, but I'm sure I heard somewhere that we're the only team they haven't scored against this season. Although I do remember them going
Take
to
it up.
Parkhead and not scoring. Um, the cup game was a bit of a strange one because they obviously scored at 0-0. It gets disallowed correctly for handball. We score, but they had a couple of really good chances in the game and probably could have been level or ahead before we added the second goal. So, pretty a difficult one to gauge, to be honest.
Also, as well, we were obviously under the rule of Russell Martin at the time. Now we're under the Danny rule. Joke intended. Um, I don't know, man. I know obviously we've only really got the performance the other night there is the kind of gauge for what we're expecting to see under Danny, but I reckon he'll have these players G'd up for every single game going forward. I think he understands what's needed.
Yeah,
Um,
I think Sunday again, as we touched on with the aftermath of the Kilmarnock game when we done that the other night. Um, it was by no means was it perfect, but we played well, and we got to the most important thing was we got the 3 points. But when you look back on it, I mean, we did score 5 goals, as much as two of them were disallowed for offside. Although that last one, Raskin's one, was a bit kind of iffy in terms of whether it was offside or whether it wasn't. They certainly took their time making their mind up about it. But I think that gives us a bit of confidence. Hibs, you have to say, is one of the tougher away grounds to go to.
yep.
Um, but a win tomorrow night of any kind puts us in a good place for Sunday for the semi final. And I don't want to get too far ahead of ourselves, but the last thing we want to do is go to Easter Road and take a bit of a powering and no come away with any result because the heads will go down for Sunday. And you want to go in there. You want to go in there with as much confidence as you possibly can. So confident of us getting a result, whether it's 1-0, 2-1, whatever. Although I do expect us to concede because we seem to concede in every away game these days.
Yeah.
But I'm feeling more confident than I was, this time last week. That's for sure.
So that'll be if we manage to not concede tomorrow night, that'll break what is it like 20 odd, 23, 24 games or something like that, 24 away games that we've conceded in a row.
24 away games, which is absolutely mental for a team like us.
Yeah,
It's it's unfathomable unfathomable. Sorry, that we should be going that many games and not being able to keep a clean sheet. It just
yeah,
shows how bad our defence has been.
yeah.
Particularly this season. So I don't think they looked too bad on Sunday. I know that the goal was a bit of a horror show, but mistakes can happen. So hopefully there's none of that.
Yeah, that's I think that's the kind of big thing for Danny Rule to kind of sort out is the defense. Do you see him making any big changes like he did on Sunday? Obviously, like when the team came out, everybody was scratching their head as to what formation is he playing. Turns out it was about three or four different formations that were getting played, depending on what was happening at the time.
Well, that's kind of, I've heard people say that he's being reactive and it shouldn't really happen, but I've got absolutely no problem with that because if he sets the team up one way and quickly realizes that it's not working, he's not afraid to change it, which is so refreshing. I said that again on Sunday night
Yeah,
when we were on. Um, so, I mean, the short answer is I've got no idea how he's going to set up, because as you say, we had
I
about
like
three or
that
four
though.
different formations, and that's good because it provides an unpredictability for the opposition, because they don't know what they're going to come up against. He's
Hmm.
playing to our strengths, which is perfect, rather than going, this is the way I'm playing, we stick to it and we
Yeah,
stick to it until we get it right. He's quickly identified this isn't working. Although, to be honest, at half time on Sunday when he did make the change and we changed shape, I thought we were doing all right. We were playing well. I understand why he done it, and it's not a slight on him at all. Um, so it's kind of good to see that he'll change it even when we're not playing badly. So they can identify, look, maybe this will work a wee bit better for us. So hopefully we see more of the same tomorrow night.
I think as well now that it's been what just over a week since he came in. Now you'd like to think he's kind of built a wee bit of, or started to build a bit of a relationship with his players and starting to get to know what the players want and stuff like that, which can only help the team in the long run going into games like this. Because I know we say it all the time now, but every game now is a must win for us. Um, if we do take all the points from Easter Road tomorrow night, that should put us up just behind Celtic, regardless of what the other results are around it. They've obviously got Falkirk, but they have their own troubles. Obviously, we are primarily a Rangers podcast, or we are a Rangers podcast, sorry, not primarily. We are a Rangers podcast. We support Rangers. All three of us have supported Rangers, but you cannot come on and talk about Scottish football and not talk about what happened yesterday.
No, no, you cannot. And where do you even start with that? I mean, we were sitting last night. Well, me personally, I was sitting watching telly with the missus, and every group chat I'm in just starts going mental. And I think it was Cheech sent
Yep.
the Instagram screenshot of the Celtic statement, and I just seen a Celtic badge. I never even I just swiped on my phone to see what it was because I was watching the telly at the time, and
Hmm.
I've seen the Celtic badge, and I'm like, what's this? And then the next thing, my mates text me, and he's like, Rogers is gone, and I'm like, what? you know, it's and then obviously everything unfolds, and then you get
That
that statement for
that
Dermot
the
Desmond, which
most
was
bizarre
absolutely
thing I've
wild.
ever like. We've been through a lot as Ranger supporters. We've been through a lot, but I don't remember a time where a board member or whatever it is that Dermot Desmond is. I don't know what his position currently is. Obviously, he's the majority shareholder or whatever it is at Celtic, but I don't think I ever remember a time where a member of the board or someone high ranking like that has ever threw anybody under the bus in such a spectacular fashion at Rangers. But that, like, I had to read it two or three times. That statement he put out was absolutely mental.
Oh, it was crazy. I mean, it starts off kind of nicey, and then you just kind of go, "What am I reading here?"
It was like the letter for the Stan video that for Eminem. Like, that's what it was like. Like at the beginning,
Aye,
I'm your biggest fan. By the end, he's driving off the end off that bridge with his Wayne in the trunk. Like
yeah,
it
aye.
was absolutely crazy,
It's
man.
it's absolutely wild, mate. Just I mean, the long and short of it, I know pretty much everybody will have read it, but for the long and short of it, for anybody that never read it, he's basically calling Brendan Rodgers a liar, and it really wouldn't surprise me if Brendan Rodgers went, right, I'll see you in court. That's
Yeah,
defamation of character. Do you know what I mean? But
100%.
Absolutely, absolutely crazy. And then even reading the end of the initial statement of Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney are taking interim charge, and I'm like,
That was the
what?
next point. Yeah, like
What?
yeah, like
He was on Talksport yesterday morning, tipping Hearts for the title, and
that.
then he's the Celtic
That's what I was
manager.
going to say. Like obviously, it must have been. I think I said to you yesterday when after it all unfolded, like they must have knew like mid afternoon that this was coming, and they were just ironing out all the details and stuff like that. Because the quickness between the Celtic statement, the official statement of him resigning, and then the one that Dermot Desmond put out through the Celtic channels, like 15 minutes apart. You don't write that kind of monologue statement within 15 minutes. You have that ready to go. And I also think that because it's getting put out under the banner of being a Celtic statement, although written by Dermot Desmond, is that it has to go through like legal checks and all that kind of stuff. This story is not finished by a long shot, I don't think. But as you mentioned there, they drafted in Martin O'Neill and Sean Maloney to replace him in an interim basis. And Martin O'Neill was, I listened to Martin O'Neill on Talksport this morning talking to Jim White, and he said that he reiterated and reiterated and reiterated that it was an interim basis. It wasn't there for the long haul. But since then, we've had people, pundits, coming out saying he should be taking the job permanently or for at least 18 months and stuff. Um, I can only imagine that this turmoil that they're going through, and they've been going through their own turmoil for the past couple of months as well. The Celtic fans, are not happy with the Celtic board, and so on and so forth. Um, this can only be a good thing for us, in terms of they could potentially drop points tomorrow if there's disharmony within the camp. And then obviously we've got one eye on Sunday for the cup semi final. Um, I just feel like we have managed to start kind of getting our ducks in a row a little bit with Danny Rule, just at a time where Dermot Desmond is taking a rocket launcher to their ducks and possibly just kind of handed us a little bit of a lifeline in terms of getting back up the league and potentially progressing in the cup.
Yeah, I think, um, as you said, like they've had their own turmoil going on, but I think the fact that we've been an absolute basket case all the way through it has kind of overshadowed it a bit. Um, I mean, look, from my side, if I try to take this from a neutral standpoint, which is very hard to do,
Yep.
I kind of go, right, look, Kyra Almaty, these things can happen, but they're coming out with, I see a lot of Celtic fans coming out with this, that, and the other, or like, oh, we're a shambles, we're this, we're that, and I'm like, you've won 13 titles out of the last 14 years. What are you moaning at?
Yeah.
You can't have. Yes, you can have your time, and it goes in cycles, and it will come to an end at some point, whether that's this year or next year or whatever. It will come to an end, and I think the problem they've got is that they are so used to winning everything that when things don't go their way, the reaction is tenfold to anybody else. You know, it's what you seen it. You seen it during 55. Their reaction to losing at home to Ross County in the League Cup was nuclear.
Yeah.
That's when the Sharks came out and all the rest of it. And look, I know we've had our own kind of issues this season and all the rest of it, but it's kind of, as I said, trying to look at it from the neutral standpoint. You're kind of going, well, really? I mean, you've had it all your own way for the last decade and a bit. What you complaining for? You know, it's
It's
absolutely crazy. But
it's it's
look,
got
I
legs,
fully
but
expect they're not going to go out tomorrow night and lose to Falkirk. They'll beat Falkirk. That's a certainty. Um, I don't see them losing at home. Sunday will
it
be
might still be
a
reeling for
bigger
Hearts though.
test. Yeah, they will. But and if they were away from home, I would go, well, maybe Falkirk have got a chance here, but I don't see them going to Parkhead and coming away with anything. I really don't. I'd love for it to happen. I just don't see it.
Okay. Well, obviously the big one's Sunday for us, but we will obviously come back most likely Saturday afternoon or evening with our um, preview pod for that one. As it stands, tomorrow night, 7:45, we have to travel across to Edinburgh to Easter Road to face Hibernian. Um, they're currently on the back of a two game winning streak. I say streaks, 2 games in a row. Um, what do you reckon the score will be tomorrow night, Stevie? Put a prediction on it.
I expect a tough game, but I'm going to go 2-1 Rangers.
2-1 Rangers. I will stick to my normal 4-0 Rangers. I'm not going to predict the Miovski hat trick this time. I'm going to predict the Chermiti hat trick with Danilo getting the fourth. The
Right,
boy has
okay.
the boy has come to town and he's ready.
Like, look,
Fully fully
one
on
of
the
these
Chermiti
days,
train.
the law of averages says you have to get it right at some point. So
I'm definitely not going to do
just you
4
stick
4
to your
0 on
guns,
Sunday.
mate.
I'm not doing 4 0 on Sunday. Don't you worry about that. I'm not that stupid. But just a wee quick one tonight, guys. I think there isn't really much to talk about in terms of um, what's happening at the club. Everything's kind of settled down from when we first started this, which is a good thing and a bad thing. Obviously, we like to come on here and talk about Rangers, but when everything's all quiet, you have to take that. Um, but as I say, we'll be back Saturday with our. Oh no, sorry. Will we do a post match for
We'll probably
Hibs?
do a post
Probably
match
do, probably do a
for
post
Hibs and
match
then come back Saturday with a preview for
pre. Aye.
the
Keep an
semi
eye.
final.
Keep an eye on the socials on the Twitter and on YouTube itself. Notifications turned on if you're wanting to get it right away, and Spotify as well. And we will see you for the post match on the Rangers. Goodbye.
Cheers.